Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are when you're watching this, and whatever time it is when you're watching this. My name is Anna Kowalska. I am your host. Host of whatever. I'm your hostess. Welcome to the group and welcome to my live video, wherever you're watching this from, since I'm going to be sharing it in different channels. I am a purpose sparker, hand analyst, intuitive, and transformation coach. Take your pick. I'm all of that. And today I wanted to share with you about, good morning, whoever's jumping on, about the whole idea that something has to feel right. And this is universe serving me, right? I was flying high for the last 2 days, like really vibrating with all this expansion, no matter what happens in my life, finding my vibe, tuning into like this yumminess, this love that's flowing through like everywhere in the universe, right? And 20 minutes ago, just about 20 minutes ago, my neighbor sends me a text message and says, "Hey, I may be a little late, but the parking restrictions are in effect on the side of the street where you are parked." And I'm like, what? So I got a parking ticket, yay. And I'm going to fight it because there were other circumstances in our neighborhood that kind of forced me to park where I did. So I'm totally going to fight this ticket. But the reason why I am laughing at it is because it took me like good 10, 15 minutes to go through all the emotions of first being super aggravated, angry, and then hi Annette, and then just like setting it aside and saying, there are things that I've committed to doing and I've been flying so high, I have to prove to myself that I cannot be moved by outside circumstances. So it took me like 15, 20 minutes to get aligned with my yumminess again and go to here is to my topic of why it feels right will keep you stuck. Like literally universe delivered me a perfect way to talk about it. So the reason why I want to talk about it feels right is because I'm working on this awesome piece of my work. I said I wouldn't talk about money anymore, and as soon as I declared it, I got this download of something I've been working on for longest time around money, and it has to do with balancing and collaborating and having your masculine and feminine collaborate in a partnership, in a relationship, to help you manifest in the area of money, or really manifest anywhere in life. But I'm using money specifically because it's the most tangible way to see results very, very quickly. And as I was working on this, part of it is aligning feminine and masculine axis in the body. And part of the feminine attribute is to feel. And I have coached my clients to go with their feeling before. I have advised them to tap into what feels right and go with that. And so I'm guilty of that. And by the way, whatever I teach, if I adjust it, I always will share. So what I stumbled upon is this other layer of it feels right, what it means and how it can keep us stuck. So you may already know this. Our brains are wired to keep us safe, which means make choices that feel safe to us. That means feel familiar to us, right? So if you were taught not to cross the street in a heavy traffic, then your brain is wired to not do that, right? And it will feel right not to do that. If you were taught to not touch hot stove, your brain is wired for that. Now it's something that's familiar, and you will probably never touch a hot stove. And your brain is wired to do that, like it's just automatic to keep you safe, right? I mean, these are just like simple examples everybody uses, and I'm sure you can plug in your own. And it stretches out into whatever beliefs you took on as a child that made you safe at a time, that keep you safe into your adulthood. And some of them, hi Rachel, some of them are there to keep you safe, and they're valid, like not crossing street in a traffic, or not jumping into fire and things like that, right? Some of them hinder us. But what I want to talk about is so this is in your mind, this is your beliefs, right? But what I want to talk about is the same idea, but when it comes to your feelings. So your feelings are pre-programmed just like your thoughts are. Just like your brain is wired to respond in certain way to certain things to keep you safe. So, like if you're trying to make more money than you ever have before, all this stuff is going to start coming in, which by the way, I'm working like crazy on my money mindset, and I get a $50 parking ticket, which by the way, within 2 weeks goes up to 100 if I don't pay. What? So the more I stretch my mindset around money mindset, right, the more I start getting evidence of like, where are there still holes that I'm leaking through? And feeling works the same way. So, whole mind body connection. Feelings come from your body, thoughts come from your mind. And just like your mind is wired to keep you safe with certain things you are now believing, thoughts, some serve you, some don't, but all of them are here to keep you safe. Your brain doesn't know that you're wanting to make more money or be in a relationship or create something different, that it actually is something that will serve you at the higher level. Your brain just knows what it knows to keep you safe, and it's going to keep you safe within that parameter. Now imagine if body is the same way, right? Like what if because mind and body are connected, what if they work exactly the same way? Whatever feelings are there to keep you safe. So I got into it really quickly, didn't I? And I'm hoping that you get it, because when I got it yesterday, like at the very cellular level, as I'm working on the piece within the program, it just really gave me this whole new access to working with my manifestation. So get this, if earning certain amount of money feels scary, hold on, this is not how I want to say this. How about this? Because this is where I got it. If you've been creating debt, DEBT, for a long period of time, then now, and survived that debt over and over again, that is now something that you programmed your body to know that this is something you can survive, which means it's going to feel right to continually be in that place. Because now DEBT, debt, I have an accent, so I have to make sure I spell it out, feels safe to you. It's something that you've created over and over again, and now it feels safe. So your body is now programmed to that being something that feels right. If this is an outrageous example, but I'm gonna stretch it out. If you are in relationships constantly, like romantic relationships constantly, that have a certain characteristic to them, like a guy being super jerky to you, or triggering a certain something in you, now that feels safe because you've survived it over and over, and your body now says, well, this is something I am cataloging under safe. That means when it happens again, you will get this feeling of this is right. Oh, this feels right because it feels safe. Same thing with your business. If you have been stuck, and this is work or business, so I know there are people listening who don't necessarily have a business yet. If you have been in this perpetual recreation of a certain scenario, you are undercharging or you're under earning, you keep being stuck at a certain income level, and then you launch something or you ask for a raise, or you ask yourself a question like, or somebody offers you something, a collaboration, and whatever it is, you now subconsciously, your mind and body files under, this is safe, like, yeah, let's do this, this is safe, or no, let's not do this, this is not safe. It will show up as, this feels right, or it doesn't feel right, because it feels safe or doesn't feel safe. And this is how we stay stuck, right? Not because something isn't right for us, so we don't take action for it, but because we follow this feeling of, this is right, I shouldn't do this, this doesn't feel right. I had a woman that was super, super hot for doing hand analysis session with me. And that was a few weeks ago. And then she's like, I'm going to go home, send me the link, and I'm going to do take the steps. I'm like, yeah, great. I send an email to her. She goes, I muscle tested it, which I do believe it works, but only to a degree. Now, based on this new realization, she muscle tested it. She's going to do it and sends me a message. I'm going to do it tonight. And I don't hear from her. She went through all the channels to make sure that I'm the right person to do it with, that it feels right. She muscle tested it. And I'm not shaming her. I'm just using her as an example. And she's not in this group, so she'll never know. And then she still didn't do it. It's been like 2 weeks now. And I'm fine. I'm not following up with her. She'll do it or not, and it's up to her. I call in the people who are ready to work with me in any level, and that's all it is. Whatever happened to her, she went through all these channels to make sure something feels right or doesn't, and still didn't take action on it. Why? I don't know. But I'm here to debunk the myth of something feeling right or not feeling right. If something feels right, check yourself to see if that feeling right is not really right, or is it right? Like it's the right thing for me to do, aligned with my purpose, aligned with what my higher self is here to fulfill? Or is it right because it feels safe? Because this is what I've done over and over again, because I have undercharged over and over again, and charging more doesn't feel right. No, it doesn't feel safe. What if somebody offers something and I check with my system, doesn't feel right? No, it doesn't feel safe because you've never invested in yourself this way, never invested this much money in yourself, or never created something this outside of your safety zone before. And then you get stuck and you keep recreating the same thing that feels safe, not right, feels safe over and over again. So there is this like fine line between what feels right because your higher self is aligned with it, your goals, your desires are aligned with it, or is it right because it feels safe, because it's something you've done over and over, and now not only your mind is saying it's safe, we've survived it before, we catalog it under this is something we can go ahead with. Your body is on board with that too, because it's this feeling of you survived it. If you survived it, it must be something you can survive again. It's safe, it's something you know, and now it feels right in your body, which is a total baloney. It's not right or wrong, it just feels safe within what you already know. So of course I'm going to bring hand analysis, right? Because I'm a hand analyst and I use this tool to help my clients align with their purpose and do and fulfill their purpose in life, do what they're here to do at their higher level. And the lines in the middle of your hands are mirror pathways of the neural pathways in your brain, which means however you have been in your life over and over and over and over again is now also reflected in your hand. And this has to do with emotions too. Like now I can see how have you been. This is your heart line right here. Hold on, because it's backwards. This is your heart line, right? How have you been emotionally in your life that now is coded in your body, that if you try to go outside of it, you will not feel right about it because it doesn't feel safe, because it's not the way you've been your whole entire life. So I'm going to totally bring it into my hand analysis work with my clients too, and show them how feeling right is feeling safe. Doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. So my question to you is just look and see where this is true for you. Have you been working with what feels right and not fulfilling on something that you really want to do because it doesn't feel right? Check in. Is it because it doesn't feel right, or is it because it doesn't feel safe? That's a huge distinction right there, because it could be not feeling right because it's not right for you, but it could just be something that's within certain pattern that you've been living out that now feels safe for your mind and your body to be in. Crappy relationship, undercharging, under earning, collecting debt, the EBT, or staying in debt because it feels safe. It's something you've overcome. So going back to money for a second, I'm very familiar with creating debt, the EBT, and worked a lot with my self-worth to like figure out that piece, because I know a lot of people who are in debt or don't want to go in debt and have all these stories about debt. Our whole country is falling deeper into debt. Like, why, right? I mean, I know physically what's happening, but just at the high spiritual level, we are creating this as a society. So at the individual level and at the high social level. So if you've been creating that over and over and over and over again, right? I've been perpetually afraid to create that. Now, and you survived because this is the crucial piece. You survived it more than once. Now you are programmed to feel that this is something that you can do, which means it's safe to stay in the debt. It's safe to stay in spending only this much money. It's safe to charging or making only this much money. It's safe, not because it's right, but because it's safe, because you've done it over and over again. So just check in with yourself. If this is something, if you're making a decision, if you're responding to an offer or something showing up in your field to respond to, and you're checking in with your feelings, I'm checking in with my gut. Like I'm questioning my gut too. Like, is my gut telling me something because it's safe, or is my gut telling me something because I've done this over and over and now it's programmed in my body as something that's safe? Like, I have to add a new layer to how I check in with myself about everything. And I love it because the more check and balances we have for ourselves, the better decisions I can make. So check in with yourself and just see if there is something showing up in your field that you are saying no to, or you are resisting saying yes to. Are you operating based on what feels right, and it feels because it's safe, or it feels right because it's really aligned with your higher self, with what you are out to create in the world? And the way to stretch outside of that, the simplest way to stretch outside of that, which feels, hi, whoever just sent, somebody just sent and gave me thumbs up, and I don't know who it was, so thank you. The simplest way to stretch outside of what you have filed in your mind and body as safe, which means right, is to be around people who have stretched beyond that, so they can hold that space for you energetically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. They can, oh, Annette, yes, I love the distinction. Yeah, hold on one second. I'm going to read it in a second. So the easiest way to stretch outside of whatever you've created that is safe, but really feels like it's right, but it's really just a safe way to be, is to be around people who have stretched outside of that, who can hold that space. So imagine like you created this box right now, right? And within this box, and this is your mindset, this is your emotions, you've created this and it feels safe. The way to stretch it to create more than what you've created before, whether it has to do with money, with your business, with your life in general, be with people, be around people, be in a space of people who have stretched outside of this, because they can be your evidence that it's safe to do so. And you can lean on them and their safety and their evidence to say, you know what, mind and body, I am going to take that step because I know it's aligned with my higher self and what I'm here to create and who I'm here to be. This is my evidence. This person is my evidence, and I'm going to do this. And come on board with me, mind and body. We'll be just fine. Cool? And I'm going to invite you that if you feel called to, let me be this person for you, because I am stretching in mighty ways. And I'm here to make a space for all the women, people really, but mostly women, who are here to live aligned with their purpose in their business, in their work, in their life. Stretch beyond their safety with money, stretch beyond their safety and what feels right in whatever it is they're creating, their goals, their creativity. Let me be that person who stretches before you and creates the safe space. All right. As I said, I'm going to put a link. As always, if we haven't spoken, our first chat is on me. It's free. Book your session. Let's talk. Let's see how I can create a safe space for you to stretch in your business, in your work, in your life. I'm going to repeat it one more time before I go, but I want to make sure I answer Annette's question. I love the distinction. Can you give us a tip or two on how to keep going with the new action that doesn't feel safe? Oh, well, duh. So I did that. Yes. So first, so Annette asked how to keep going with the new action that doesn't feel safe. First of all, recognize it, that it's not that it doesn't feel right, it just doesn't feel safe, right? And then find evidence. Find evidence, find other people who have stretched beyond where you are. They are still alive and kicking. Doesn't mean that everything is smooth and perfect, but they are still alive, because that's what it really is. Like, the safe means you're gonna die, which you really aren't. Like, if you're stretching outside of safety zone and driving when you're not supposed to, yeah, you're gonna die. Don't do that, right? Like, your reptilian brain and your coded emotions should stop you from doing that. If you see a fire, don't jump into it unless you are skilled and trained to do that, to save people, right? I don't know, fire's just been happening in our country, so it's just on my mind. Unless you're trained and skilled, don't jump in a fire, because you're gonna get burned too. Call for help. Like, if you see a ledge and you're driving very close to it, we go off-roading a lot, so this is familiar to me. Like, stay on the road. If your gut and mind says don't go outside of this road, you're gonna fall off the cliff and die, yeah, that's probably true. But if you're stretching outside of what doesn't feel right, which now we also are going to check, is it right or safe, within your business, within how do you money, within actions you're taking to create something new in your life, chances are 99% of the time that you will not die from doing that. Somebody may say something you don't like. Okay, somebody may push back at you. You may get a ticket, like I was saying at the beginning of this live transmission. I was like super feeling expansive and floating in this yummy, expansive feeling of love, and I got a freaking parking ticket this morning. Like, okay, and my job is to stay aligned and to not let this throw me off my path, not let this throw me off what I am committed to do. And it almost like, it literally, I had to work 15-20 minutes to align my energy back into the space of abundance, expansion, and allowing, and not let this ticket throw me off. And these things will happen when you are acting outside of what feels safe and what feels right, because you are now testing the boundaries of possibility in your life and who you are in the face of those possibilities. So the easiest tip that I can give you is, you will, if it's not a physically dangerous situation, recognize it as such. You will not die. You will not die. I promise you. I've tested my boundaries over and over again throughout my life, and I'm still alive, and I'm well, and I'm fed, and I'm living in a beautiful place. And I'm not an exception. I am an example. You will not die. You will not get hurt. Somebody may emotionally poke you by saying something you don't like, but so what? That's a whole other video about when people say things to poke at you and like try to throw you off balance. And you will not die. Another tip is, get in the world of somebody who is living that stretched life, that's stretched outside of what you perceive safe. Get into their space, get into their world, come into my world, because I will be your evidence and example of when you do something that's outside of your comfort zone, you do not die. You just don't. It feels like you're going to, and part of you consistently has to, part of your identity has to keep dying. That doesn't mean you die, okay? You just gotta take it on. So if you are feeling called to, Annette, I hope this helped you. And this is something you and I will be working on together, so I'm super excited for that. If you are feeling called to step into my world, find out more about what I do and how I can help you step out of your realm of what's right, and now we're also calling it safe, I invite you to book a session with me. I'm going to put a link above and below. Book a session, let's talk. The first conversation is free. If you're interested in scientific hand analysis, which is the tool that I use to guide my clients into their higher purpose, you can ask me about that too. Send me a message, post a question. I'll tell you more about it. And We are at time. I said we'll be done by in 25, 30 minutes, and here we are. If I poked you, if I stirred you, if this is something, if this like shifted something for you, or you have 20 more questions than you did before before you watch this, let me know. I love hearing from you. The more I hear from you guys, the more I can keep creating videos and guidance and expand so you can expand with me. Have an amazing, amazing day. Don't let traffic tickets or parking tickets throw you off. Take your time. Feel angry if you want to. I did. Feel pissed off. I'm going to fight this ticket, but it doesn't throw me off my yummy, expansive energy. Bye for now.